Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Roll Call, TTSH Nursing's very own podcast, brought to you by TTSH Nursing Organisation Development. I'm Kim, and I'll be your host for this episode, as always. So today, I have some wonderful guests from Tan Tock Seng Hospital's Home Ventilation and Respiratory Support Service, or HVRSS for short. Would you join me in welcoming Advanced Practice Nurse Sun Tao and Nurse Clinician Lydia on the podcast? Hello! To start, could you share more about yourselves with the audience?
My name is Sun Tao. I'm the advanced practice nurse in home ventilation and the respiratory support service. I have been in this service for coming to 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was from China, and I started as an enrolled nurse in a private hospital for about 11 years, and with 9 years in ICU as a staff nurse and the senior staff nurse. So when I get bored with ICU, there was a chance for home vent service, which was a wonderful opportunity for me. So here I am. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Lydia?
Hi, I'm Lydia. I'm into my 9 year of service in home ventilation team, and I think I've always been in Tan Tock Seng most of my career life since I graduated, and basically from in the surgical wards, for example, general ward and ICU. And after that, fate makes me come to home ventilation team.
Okay, so just a heads up, right? I'm going to address these sisters as Sun Tao and Lydia because I received specific instructions from them to not call them sisters during the podcast. So I'm going to try my best to remember, okay? Okay, so I think before we jump into what is HVRSS, I'll just do a short introduction about what is home ventilation, especially for the audience members that maybe are not so familiar. So home ventilation refers to the provision of mechanical ventilation, which is breathing assistance with a machine via invasive and non-invasive methods. So invasive is like your tracheostomy, and non-invasive is just by your natural airways. Yeah. So this is to help people with breathing insufficiency, so issues with breathing. It is a life-sustaining, organ-supporting treatment, something like dialysis, but for your lungs. And the overarching aim is to maintain or even improve the quality of life of patients by allowing them to live at home with as much autonomy and dignity as possible. So with that, what is HVRSS?
So actually, it's quite a piece of information, but the main bottom line is actually patients who having respiratory insufficiency, neuromuscular weakness will usually tend to require this kind of breathing devices, whether through the natural airway or through the breathing tube in your neck, like the tracheostomy tube. And what our team does is just supporting these group of patients and hoping that they will live at home. Yeah. With quality of life, with their family, and in their very familiar environment as long as possible, and prevent readmission into hospital as much as possible. So that's a nutshell at what we are trying to do.
I heard from you guys that it's a very small team of you all. Like, how many of you are in HVRSS?
We have 3 nurses.
So it's a very small team, and are you covering a large population of patients?
Currently there are about 200 patients in our service. Yeah, so because we also have a home ventilation clinic under Respi clinics.
Okay.
So about half of those patients who attends clinic, and the other half are home patients. Yeah, that we require to visit regularly.
Yeah. Okay. So how are these patients recruited into the program?
Usually by referral source. I mean, like, usually cannot be like from the public. You just write into us. You want to be recruited. You know, we usually take a referral source from the primary doctor, whether is it from private institutions or in restructured hospital. So to add on what Sun Tao has to say was, we are the de facto adult home ventilation team, whereby, of course, there are other home ventilation clinics around in other restructured hospital, but our team are the de facto ones who make home visits. Yes. So as such, when they are usually referred to us for few reasons. if coming from our mother hospital, Tan Tock Seng itself, usually we will cover from clinics to hospital, like the home visits.
Yeah.
But if sometimes we do receive from other sources that they will need our support for the home portion side. That means patients who are unable to return back to the clinic due to logistic reasons.
Yeah.
For example, you're on 24 hours ventilation, trachea, you have a breathing tube, we have a tube here, a urine catheter, you have a PEG feeding tube, and they are not able to move their limbs very much.
Yeah.
So coming back through an ambulance can be dangerous for them, as well as anytime these machines can malfunction or their tubes get dislodged, and we don't want that to happen. So we'll bring as much as possible hospital to home.
I see.
Yeah, but of course there are limitations in it lah.
Yeah. So what does a day in your life look like as a HVRSS nurse?
A day, I mean our day differ to day, really. We can't really pinpoint how is a day like, but I know our day is like is I come to work, I walk to work. That one is every day, confirm no fail. But the thing, I said on leave, but then the thing is, right, our day usually, as what you can hear, is home ventilation, so we'll make home visits. Yeah, so it's one of our core.
Yeah, so usually we come to work, we will start checking our equipment, checking our luggage, make sure the items are in place, and like the iStat machine, which is a point of care test machine to check patients' blood gas. Yeah, so we bring that to patient's house. Yeah, so we'll be able to evaluate the patient's gas on the spot. Yeah, to know whether their ventilator use is adequate or requires some adjustments. Yeah, and then there will be phone calls, like in the night there will be messages and phone calls in the morning, and we will address that. And we will also see to our schedule of the day, prepare our work to look at patients' notes and prepare to go out for home visits. So usually our home visits will be ranging from 1 to 3 cases for each nurse on a daily basis. Yeah, and usually 2 home visits will be kind of a full loads for us.
On top of that, of course, we have other hospital works. For example, we have caregiver assessment. Caregiver assessment, it means that we are assessing the caregivers who have completed all their caregiver training in the hospital before going home. So we need to assess the caregiver, making sure that they are confident in delivering the care at home, as well as safe as well, by assessing their knowledge. So that's one. Number 2 is the family conference, because before recruiting patients, going home with a complex patient, right? Your loved one having so many issues, we need to address many of their concerns and questions that they might have, and what will happen at home, what happened after when our team takes over. We need to introduce to them who we are, and what is the processes like to be home, etc. So other than that, of course, we have our administrative work that we have to do as well.
Sisters shared with me that there are IV cannula pros also, because back in the homes, right, you have no one, you cannot go to your senior and be like, sorry, I cannot insert the thing, can you please help me? You're really on your own, right?
Yeah.
Right, must be IV cannula pros also, okay? Okay, so has there been any specific patient memory or experiences so far in your journey that stand out in particular to you?
Tough question, because I always, when people ask me that, I will say that every patient is memorable, because it's really following them through the years. From the moment they are with us to the moment they pass on. So, and some of them were actually, in fact, friends with their caregivers after the patients have passed on. So, their life stories has also impacted the way that we have thought about our own life, and even how we live our life. Because you can see the ones that we bond together as a family when crises occur. And the one who has show resilience in terms of attitude, wherever they know there's something like some life-threatening illness that they can just pass. The prognosis is about 1 to 2 years, as we know. So I can't pinpoint who is what memorable incidents that patients for myself lah. I'm not sure about Soon Tao.
There are so many memorable patients along the way. Because our service usually very seldom we have patients who can discharge,
Yeah.
who get well and discharge from our service. So many of them actually we will accompany them along the way until the last pass. Yeah. So I think in terms of memories, there are really many memorable patients. Maybe I would like to share one of them.
Of course.
Yeah. So who is a young man with ALS.
Yeah.
So he was really very young when he was diagnosed. He was actually haven't finished his education. Yeah. So for many years at home, although his family has been very supportive, his helper are also very competent and caring. And yeah, so of course with our team support as well, he was down for quite a number of years. Yeah, I mean it is very reasonable. He has all the rights to feel depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was quite a number of years, and then for some reason after a while, he emerged from the emotion, and he started to set up an online shop. And although he was confined to the bed, he was on tracheostomy, you know, the breathing tube on the neck, and connected to the ventilator 24 hours a day. And he requires secretion clearance very often in a day as well. But despite that, he was setting up his online shop, and he was selling some items related to football, souvenirs. Yeah, so I'm not sure how good was his business, but he also became a very polite, very appreciative person. Yeah, so that really impressed us, and I think he even can be our role model in life. Yeah, so it was this was a patient I think I will remember for life. Yeah, he is no longer with us anymore, but I will always remember him.
Let me share about a caregiver part.
Yeah.
So I think we often forgotten our foreign our foreign friends from neighboring country who's always here to help us. Right. So when things get tough, they need to stay out for 24 hours 7, watching them through the night. So that's a difficult task, and managing the day-to-day things as well. And we've honestly not very many days off, right? So there's this particular lady who is also single, not married, but somehow she managed to make a friend with a fellow nurse assistant, right? I mean, in a community hospital, who has kindly, because she's alone, she needs to go back, she's on a ventilator, she needs help, and so she agreed to work for her. So through the years, she working for her, and honestly, when we are there, it's tough, cause she's managing her alone, and but she's on a rather bigger size, and managing one person is not easy. And looking after her 24 hours 7 wasn't easy. So every time when we are there, she will look so concerned like a family member. How is she? You know, she'll ask, make sure that she asks the right question. She said, I will make sure, okay, tell me what to do. I will make sure that she's being looked after properly. I'll make sure that she's well. So when during the last few days of the patient, she cried almost every time we visit, because she's so emotionally attached to her. Even up till the patient passed on. So somehow we were worried that she was sinking into depression. So for someone who are not blood related to feel that way, it's really that kind of that kind of relationship that you have in this world that is so treasure, it's a treasure.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a little bit more common, I feel like, or, when people talk about like, maybe aging in Singapore, then sometimes it's very easy for people to be like, oh yeah, people nowadays don't care, then they just live with your parents or whoever there. But then you have these stories, which I feel might not be told as often, of these people who really step up and bravely take on these roles, and like what you said, like even for someone who is not blood related to you, like to have that heart and compassion to really care for someone like that, is really so admirable. And
she always say thank you and really thank them for leaving their family behind, actually. So we are never thank them enough, actually.
Thank you so much for sharing. So in such a niche and specialized field, what are some of the struggles that you faced in the work that you are doing?
Maybe I will start first. Yeah. So there are many struggles. Yeah. So probably but I mean not necessarily to be bad.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So one of the things I think we have been facing quite frequently is the difference in care practice in hospital versus at home. Yeah. So when our patients gets trained in the hospital, they will carry the hospital standard to home. Definitely, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that it probably is a bit costly, in a sense. Let's say like you do in the hospital, if we want to. The tracheostomy has 2 tubes, right?
Yep.
There's one inner tube and the outer tube. So the inner tube requires to be taken out and washed and put back. So in hospital, it is done in a very clean way that we are supposed to wash our hands, we wear gloves, and then we take this inner cannula out, and then we will clean it with sterile water. We are not supposed to use the tap water. Yeah. So but at home setting, and it will take a while for us to not to say correct, but change their practice, because home is always viewed as a clean environment. So we wouldn't want to let the family have so much burden, and then the caregiver also have more trouble in finding a glove and all that. Yeah, so they are required to clean their hands, and then they can just take the inner cannula to wash it under tap water, and then after that it will rinse with cool boil water or with sterile water, and then it's done. Yeah. So things like that. Sometimes some family will have some concerns when we first change their practice. Yeah.
Another challenges will be bringing out coaxing our patient to come back to hospital, because life at home is so good,
course,
and so they don't want to stay in the hospital. Because you know they think that everything will be manageable. You have your home team, you have hospital team coming back into hospital. I'm sure you are specialized from head to toe, right? You know, you are everything. So that's because I think the dedication that my doctor showed, right, is to that level that they don't want to come back to hospital, and that's hard. Because there are certain things that we can't do at home. For example, if you need CT scan, you need X-rays, you need more investigation that we can't resolve at home. We need you to come back, and we spend time convincing them. And so we need to convince them. Hospital is okay as well.
Yeah, I think probably the service that you provide home is too stellar. It's too good already.
No, my doctor, the expertise is too good.
I think one thing that you guys shared also, and I wanted to ask, is the home ventilation service very expensive for your patients, or how are the subsidies that are available for the patients also?
I would say that it's really not a cheap service. Yeah, just like dialysis just now you mentioned actually involve quite high cost. So for our service, the costs come from a few areas. One is the setup cost, is the equipment that the patient requires to use at home. Yeah. So for that one, currently our model is a rental model with the government subsidy.
Okay.
Yeah. And another cost is the home visit cost. Yeah. So this is also with subsidy applied, but still not as good as the hospital rate of seeing a doctor and a nurse.
Okay.
Because the doctor and the nurse, this team need to travel down to see a patient, and then come back. Yeah. So all these costs add up. Although I think we still haven't reached the stage of cost recovery, but it's already very costly. Yeah. So in terms of support wise, besides the government standard subsidy, there is also, like for patients who are really needy, they will have a Medifund to help them. And besides that, there are some patients who are slightly better to do, but they are actually they don't qualify for Medifund. But what they have is really not the service is still so a bit too much for them to bear. Then in this kind of situation, actually there are other fundings to support like equipment.
Okay.
And and the consumables.
Okay.
Yeah. So like help me go home fund.
Thank you so much for sharing from your years of experience in HVRSS. After listening to all of like everything that you shared just now, I can't help but wonder what has kept you guys in this service for so long? 9 years, 13 years.
I asked my senior nurse first.
Nowhere else to go.
Because it's so specialized already.
No lah. But I think because this place is really, we are like a small family. Yeah. So like with our medical team, our social worker, our ops people, and our airline health, not to mention about our nurses. Yeah. So we are really like a very, very close knitted family. Yeah. So I think it's not easy to find such a good place to work.
Yeah. Same. Every time I think about that, I want to switch, but cannot. Yeah. I feel that like cannot must persevere through that. But number two is also, other than that, you see that how much help you actually bring to the patient and caregiver, right? Towards the last few years of their life, right? It's also hard to live.
Yeah. And especially if we see some patients have improvement in their condition, or if they are supposed to be admitted, but because of our close monitoring and the intervention with the family, and some of the admissions being avoided. So this would be the moments that really boost our energy to carry on.
I know it sounds very textbook-like lah, but then if you really come attachment with us, you will know what we meant.
I think that's the beautiful thing about like nursing and healthcare. I mean, even though certain particular specialties or fields might be very, very challenging and very taxing, those are usually the disciplines that are the most rewarding also.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Agree.
Right.
Very taxing, emotionally, psychologically, physically, but it's still
worth it, right?
It's worth it.
Yeah. Alright, so with that, we have come to the end of my questions for these two lovely ladies. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing more about this amazing service that I think not a lot of people are very familiar with and have heard about also. So there's actually educational content done by the HVRSS team available online. You can check them out on the NHG Cares app, on the HVRSS Facebook page, and also on our Tan Tock Seng website under our health library. There's videos on like tracheostomy, a lot of very educational, practical skill videos
and
also.
the YouTube videos.
Yeah, and there's YouTube videos also. So you just search Google HVRSS, TTSH, all of this should appear also. And I think just now, just now Sun Tao mentioned about the Help Me Go Home program. So if you would like to contribute financially to this amazing cause, there's actually this Help Me Go Home program under the Tan Tock Seng Hospital Community Fund. So this helps to subsidize the high cost of home ventilators and consumables so that patients can go home to their loved ones and be in the comfort of their homes with breathing assistance. Okay, so you can also check this out on the Tan Tock Seng website. If not, you can just Google Help Me Go Home program. I'm sure that it will pop up as well. Yeah. So with that, we have come to the end of this episode of Roll Call. Thank you so much for joining us once again. You can check out this episode on Spotify at Nurses of TTSH, and do follow us on our socials on Instagram and TikTok at Nurses of TTSH as well. And with that, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next Roll Call. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.